And we're here. Welcome, everybody, wherever you are. I'm Debbie G, and I have the pleasure of introducing and interviewing two of my dearest and oldest friends. And I say oldest, I don't mean that they're old. I mean that we've been friends for a really long time, although, hi, although they do call themselves two ancient semi-enlightened broads, which we're going to get to in a little while. We're going to find out what that's all about, which is very exciting. But first I want to introduce them. And since we're all in different places and on Zoom, Dorothy, I'm going to introduce you first. So say hello so people know who you are.
Hi, I'm Dorothy.
Hi, Dorothy. Dorothy Tayo is an intuitive counselor, a conference developer and director. She is also a speaker and author of many hypnotherapy manuals. A medical hypnotherapist herself for over 30 years and an instructor and owner of the Palo Alto School of Hypnotherapy. Welcome, Dorothy. I feel like we should have applause, but we're on.
Yay,
applause, applause, applause. Okay, Simone. Simone just goes by Simone. Her real name is Carol Simone, but really I've only ever known you as Simone. And you know you've made it when you can just go by one name, right? Simone is a spiritual catalyst who uses hypnotherapy, Reiki, modern Chinese medicine, and shamanism in her practice. She's the author of several novels, a play, metaphysical writings, and poetry, and she also teaches meditation and intuitive development. She and all of her work are devoted to Kuan Yin, the goddess of compassion, and Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh. Welcome, welcome, Simone and Dorothy. Yay.
Yay, Simone.
So now this isn't the first time you two have been together and done projects together. I know you're friends for a really long time. However, back in the day, now we're really going to be ancient, right? Back in the day, before YouTube, before all the internet shows and all that, there was just good old-fashioned radio, right? And you two did a radio show together in the 90s.
We did.
A spiritual show, right?
We did.
So how does it feel? How does it feel coming back together, and why, and what's this all about, this two ancient semi-enlightened broads?
Hit it, Dottie.
Okay, well, I can see how this is going to go. Pass the buck, right?
I'm not so sure that radio show was spiritually based, but it certainly was people calling in and wanting readings and information and advice and all of that. And Simone and I have done workshops and seminars and things like that. But we decided that when we have a conversation, it sometimes becomes interesting even to me. And one day we were talking and we thought, these conversations that we have could be very valuable to people who are wanting to open up, wanting to, I'll say expand their lives. And so we thought about this and ultimately came up with this. What's your version of this, Simone?
Simone, what kind of topics are you guys going to cover? Or you ladies? Or you broads, should I say?
Let me preface it. Yeah, us broads are into just about everything that opens people to the vastness of who they are and their unlimited thinking. But, collectively, one of the reasons Dorothy and I decided to do this is we're great friends and we learn a lot from each other. Well, I'll speak for myself. I learned a ton from Dot. And also, collectively, we've seen about 70,000 people. We've sat with them. We've been on the air with them. We've done workshops with them, all kinds of different situations. So, we've been kind of on the pulse of what's been going on, primarily, I would say, with women. About 85% of my clientele is women. I don't choose that. It's just the way it comes down. Women are, I believe, more open to metaphysical stuff. Some women, some men. It's obviously up to the
right. I think about 90% of the self-help books are bought by women as well. So
yeah. So we, collectively, because she's a hypnotherapist, because she's an intuitive, because she's a really good writer, she's a great speaker. She's who I go to when I need some wisdom I mean, direct shot of wisdom. It's like going and getting a big needle of wisdom. It's wonderful. And because
Shoot me up. Shoot me up.
That's right. She's like an IV you take around. You know, and because I teach meditation, teaches meditation too. We do a lot of overlapping stuff like past life regression, and I work with, you know, finding your guides and teachers on the other side and what spirit animals are working with you and why did you come back? And, you know, I work with numerology and astrology, but they go together so beautifully.
Right.
Where we're coming from. And I think because we have so much respect for each other around our styles, perhaps, because we've watched each other so much through the years and been involved. Whenever Dorothy asked me to teach, I feel like going, oh my God, I feel so, it's just precious. It's precious time to go and be with her and be with her students or however it's set up. So, I mean, there's a mutual admiration society and a sense of humor, because I think both she and I have watched, you know, the spiritual movement forever and ever and ever. And we just didn't want to be another show like that. We wanted to have fun. We wanted to have whimsy, but we wanted to have gravitas too.
Right, right. You know, both of you did not start your careers in the spiritual realm as spiritual catalysts and intuitive counselors and whatnot. What was your own catalyst in your life, be it a person or an event or a being perhaps? Dorothy, do you want to speak to that actually turned you into this field in the first place?
I will say this, that my mother was very intuitive, but we didn't call it that. I mean, it was just how she was. And she was very wise. And I was not into any of this until I moved to California and was in an automobile accident and had what I will refer to almost as a near-death experience. I felt my mother and my grandmother's presence, both of whom were already in the spiritual dimension, in this automobile accident where I was rolling over in the car. And
how old were you? How old were you at that time?
Was when I moved to California, so I was probably in my early 30s, mid 30s. I can't remember. 16, well, 34 or 5.
Okay.
And I felt their presence, and I knew exactly where they were taking me. And then I heard someone outside the car say, "Are you all right?" And all of a sudden, I was whoosh, right back in the car, and that was the first moment of this part of my journey. I don't know that there was a catalyst otherwise, except, well, that's not really true. Except one time when one of my colleagues invited me. I was in the real estate business of all things, and one of my colleagues invited me to go to a meditation class to learn how to meditate. And I said at that time, "Oh, I can't do that. I'm Catholic."
My God.
You can't do anything if you're Catholic. Everything's a sin, you know.
Well, anyway, he was such a nag, and finally, after, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks of his nagging me, I finally went, and I have to thank Tommy Atkinson for getting me into meditation, because that was the catalyst. If there is one, that was the catalyst. But I think that the automobile accident was the kick in the butt to get me into a different direction.
Right. What about you, Simone?
Well, you know, mine was a little bit different in that I couldn't wait to get away from my family when I was a little girl. So I would go out into nature. And I was extremely relieved by the energy I found in the trees and the flowers. And I was having a lot of communication with angels when I was very, very little. And in fact, I had Brownie and Blackie, my 2 key angels. And I would go in the house and I go, "Mommy, I've been sitting outside with Brownie and Blackie." And she'd go, "That's nice, I'm doing the dishes," whatever. Because in those days, nobody ever talked about that, or they thought you were nutty, or your kid was just, you know, had too much sugar or whatever was going on. But I had come in with a very mystical beginning. And it's just kind of been that way my whole life. However, I didn't trust it as my work until I had a lot of mystical experiences, and right around the time Dorothy's talking about, around 35, somewhere around there. But before that, I'd been a secretary. I worked in a topless bar. What else had I done? I was a poet.
We'll do another show about your topless bar stories because those are really funny.
Throw that in just to wake people up for a minute. But I've been a journalist. I worked for Runner's World magazine and Activision. I was a senior writer for their movie department, and in the really high time of video games, I was terrible at it, and I was paid a lot of money. And then I had an advertising agency, and it's surprising to me, Debbie. You and I have been friends forever too, and how so many people, how many intuitive empaths start out in marketing and advertising and journalism.
Well, it's all about communication, right? And in a way, the empathic route is also about communication. I also want to say you were a catalyst for me because you were the first group, similar to Dottie's story about being asked to go to a meditation group. I was asked to go to your meditation group, and that's where I learned about meditation. And I was kind of on my spiritual path as well, right around my mid-30s. And I thought, wow, this is really interesting.
Oh, who did you come with to that group? Was it Jillian?
Yeah, I think so.
And what's interesting about that is I remember you from the minute you walked through my door. I said, there is a bright light, boy. She is just, and I just remember you guys made so much fun of me because you would pick a bad tarot card, quote unquote, a bad one, and I'd say, "Oh, it's a wonderful.
It's a wonderful card, no matter what." That's a great message.
Thought,
it would be the. It would
be your meditation teacher that way, but you guys would laugh at me. It was hysterical.
I loved it. It would be like the death card. The death card would come up, and you'd be like, "Oh, that's a lovely card."
Because I saw your hair go like this, and I thought, "Oh no, that's not good."
I know. Well, you've had a lot of, in your own books, Simone, in your novels, you've had a lot of spiritual catalysts where women have really opened up, had their mystical openings in their books. Can you talk about some of those characters and how you did that?
I would be glad to. I have taken a lot of the characterizations, a lot of the characters that have walked through my doors in the last 35 years, the wonderful women characters from every walk of life. And I just decided, well, I need to choose one character that I feel embodies every woman. And that's what I did in The Goddess of Fifth Avenue. I chose a psychotherapist because every woman's a therapist. We're groomed for that. And a woman who didn't have any metaphysical leanings, that came from an abused background, and who didn't know how to get out of it and was doing all the wrong things, but laughing through it. And I wanted to write, I've always wanted to write about highly mystical things in a very down-to-earth way, so that people didn't have to think they had to be mystical or metaphysical to get what was going on in the stories. So Billy Bartholomew was one of those characters. It's like watching Fleabag, only in the early days. If you watched
I love that.
It's funny and mystical and sad and everything. And I always want the characters to meet Kuan Yin, because for me, that was my big mystical opening. And so every single one of my woman characters has a moment where they become Kuan Yin. They go into the compassion that's within them because, well, that's the answer to everything. But for me, in my opinion. But anyway, so that's what I do with my characters. And every single book, there are only 3 of them, but they all have an experience with Kuan Yin that transforms them onto the higher path of who they are.
And that's part of their soul journey just in this particular lifetime, but that comes from lifetimes and lifetimes. Dorothy, I want to talk to you a little bit about the soul's journey, because that's a topic that's very intriguing to people. Do we come back? You mentioned Catholic background where they don't believe in reincarnation, right? I also have Catholic background.
Right.
And, the soul's journey about coming back over and over again. How many lifetimes do you think you've led?
Oh,
here on Earth.
I fear that. I have no idea, but I know that I'm a slow learner. And so I've had more lifetimes than I don't know, 70, 80, 90.
Oh no.
I
Oh
think
no.
thousands. I would think thousands.
1,000?
17,000 lifetimes.
15,000.
I knew you when you were a piece of sand on the street. I didn't walk on you though. I was
When
very
she was a
calm.
flea. When she was a
That's right. When
flea.
she was shaken off
Well,
of
you know,
one of my
I mean,
balls.
we're making a joke about this, but the thing is, you know, when people meet each other, especially in the spiritual world, they say they'll often say something. Oh, I can tell you're an old soul. Like,
Yeah.
what is that? What does that mean to you, Dorothy? And what an old soul?
As I just said, I'm a slow learner.
So you don't know.
I think that Simone and I were talking one day, and she said, somebody just asked me if they were an old soul. I said, if they ask, then they're not. The truth is, an old soul is probably someone, for the most part, I think, someone who has some wisdom and some balance, and it doesn't mean that it's every moment of every day, but I think an old soul is someone that people lean on a little bit. Just for my mother, for example, was an old soul. Everyone came to her with their problems. So if someone comes to you with their problems, and whether that's you as a therapist or you as just a friend, that's probably an old soul.
Right. I agree. I think that there is definitely a connection where even you can tell from childhood, you know, when we meet people and we say, oh my God, they're, you know, 5 going on 50, where you already see they have this innate wisdom within them, that they think things through, that they have a different sense of reality and life, and are connected in a different way than a lot of people at that age.
And I see young people coming in today who are really old souls.
Mm-hmm.
Small children, high school kids, college kids. There is a different energy, different consciousness, I'll have to say, with some of these younger people. I think it's just marvelous. On the other hand, it's for me, telling me that they're needed right now.
I was just going to say that we really need a lot more consciousness on the planet right now. So
I think we're seeing this in what's going on right now with, I think my definition of an old soul would be someone who sees through the duality of what's going on here and has an idea that we're all one,
Mm-hmm.
that we're all the same. We're all in the same consciousness. We're all equal, whether you're an animal or a plant or a tree or a person or whatever.
mm-hmm.
They come in with this knowing. It's a deep knowing.
Right.
What about, Simone, speaking of when they come in, it's been said that we kind of come in with a mission, with a quote unquote contract, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me a little bit about contracts. How flexible are they, for instance? Do you believe in them? What do you think is your mission on your contract?
God, I don't know. After doing, like 30,000 numerology charts, more than that, they're all about contracts. There's
Mm-hmm.
6 major contracts in a chart, and your birthday holding the really creme de la creme part of it. I just feel like we, after studying a little bit of A Course in Miracles and working on that lately, I feel that the ego is constructing a lot of those contracts, the personality part of what we think we need to fix or heal or come forward with or whatever. And then there's the higher self part that says, oh yeah, but I want to embellish that by this. So there are lots of layers of what these contracts are. Oh no.
And there's one coming in right now.
This happened last time.
Mute. It's called mute, Simone.
Oh, it's so crazy. But anyway, for myself, it's changed so many times during the years, according to what my ego wanted it to be. But recently what Spirit told me was, I just came back to learn how to love and just to be in a place of lovingness, however that's manifested. There's no agenda. The ego makes up the agenda. But the higher self, from what I understand, holds the space of love. and learning about love. And it's not the easiest thing of all, because the egos are always in there comparing and, you know, jacking you up and tearing you down and doing all the things that it does with these, you know, thousands of lifetimes where we've been building different personas. So to come into what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to slough it off in this life. I'm trying to get closer and closer and closer to the essence of love.
And keep it simple, right? Keep it simple.
It's
And
simple.
we're going to actually, this is actually a two-part interview, and we're actually going to talk about love in the second part of the interview. Dorothy, in just a couple of minutes, because we've got to, or just a minute, anything you want to say about contracts, soul contracts?
Well, I think that every lifetime has one. And I think each person, if we look at life, we look at our lives as a contract, that we came in to do certain things. My contract contains residuals, but I don't know about you. But I do think that when we understand that there's something we've come in to do, and I think once someone gets that idea and has that perception, they can begin to literally change how they're living their lives. Because there's a purpose. You're not here by accident.
And one of my favorite things is taking people out into the Akashic record so that they can look at their record and see what they signed up for and change it if that's what they want. It's an incredible, fascinating journey when you can actually see your record.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dorothy.
Why don't you do that for me sometime?
I would love to.
Okay, good.
I'd love to do it for Debbie. But Debbie's done everything. So
I don't know about that, but I love the fact that things can be changed, because I'm kind of a change gal. I like to be able to change it up every once in a while. Well, so we're going to end. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Simone.
I was just going to say, if you know Spirit is running the show, they don't want you to be punished or caught in something that you can't get out of. They want it to be an experience where you learn how to love yourself. So of course, there's free will has to run the show. It has to.
Right. Absolutely. We are going to end this part 1 and start part 2 in just a few minutes again. In part 2, we're going to talk about things like love and animals and meditation, all our favorite kind of topics. I don't know if we're going to do it in that order, maybe not. But thank you for joining, and we'll see you back in just a little while. Bye.
Terrific. Thanks, Deb.